You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Put that coffee down.
I'm a British nanny. I'm dangerous.
It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
That was totally wicked!
When you're working through finding the right people in your life, it can be tough in a digital world. With swiping apps, digits, it can be confusing. Well, on the Al Travis Show, we have Heather Dugan, our relationship expert, to help with all your relationship questions.
Love having her on this program. You would think you and I probably never talked about. I don't know how religious you are. Would you consider yourself a religious person?
I consider myself to be a very spiritual person.
Okay.
I think I've gotten a little more broad in terms of what that means, but yes, I believe. I don't think it's random, Al. None of this is random.
Okay.
There's, yeah.
And here's why I say it. I am quite a religious man.
Yeah.
I don't talk a lot about it on the radio. Now, we did a little bit on Monday after the shootings up here, which we are going to talk about. I said a prayer on the radio, which I had a very nice response from a gal in Grand Rapids, Lisa, sharing. I know that's not, everybody doesn't like that. It is who I am and why I do what I do.
Right.
Long story short, and of course, I want to talk about the shootings. On Saturday morning, we'll get through this. On Saturday, my dad, who has been battling cancer for 10 or 15 years, but 5 years ago, moved up here with my mother because of health reasons. Moved about 5 blocks away. He's my stepdad. I was raised by him since I was 5 or 6 and lived with them. I mean, he was my dad. Moved up here because of health reasons. Mom couldn't take care of him alone, and so it's been an interesting 4 years. The last year's been really tough, and then the last 2 months have been, it is what it is. My dad. So Saturday morning, Father's Day weekend, last weekend, my son and his wife came down, I guess, really down here to see us. We're going to go golfing and have a Father's Day weekend. It's going to be great. We wake up to the news of the shootings, right?
Yeah.
That John Hoffman, Senator Hoffman, who is a great friend of this program, great friend of mine. I say that. We've smoked cigars together. I just love this guy. He and his wife were shot. The Hortmans pass, all the news you've probably seen and where you're from, right? Yeah. So this is all going on and your phone's going off the hook, yada, yada, because everybody's getting hold of everybody. Did you see this? We go golfing, and that was all everybody talked about, but okay, it is what it is. We get home, and my kids want to go see Grandpa because we know he's on the decline. He is having a terrible, terrible Saturday, to the point, I don't know how much I'll share, but to the point is he had all the medicine they gave him to take, and he was still in terrible pain. My mom looks at me, do we give him some more? Because, it's just this massive pain thing. It's something I've never seen. Bone cancer, evidently, once it's in your bones, it's horrible.
Excruciating.
Yeah. So I look at my mom and said, I'm not willing to pull that plug. I'm not a doctor. I can't. If I gave him the last dose, I would devastate myself. So we end up calling the ER, or the ambulance, and they took him to the ER, and we've been battling it ever since. So that was Saturday morning. Massive hours in the hospital. Everybody knows hospice, right? God bless hospice humans.
Yes.
They, in my book, go straight to heaven. I made the joke.
Agreed.
They could be a hospice person for 20 years and spend the last 10 years of life as a mass murderer. I still think they get to heaven. This hospice job is unlike anything I've ever seen. So to Mary Ellen, Dr. Johnson, Mary, Jordan, Autumn, just some of the nurses and people that have been working with my dad, United Hospital District Hospice, big plug for them. I have never met finer people.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a bit of a talker. You got that? Well, ask me when my feeling is hurt, when I've got a sad feeling, and I ramble on trying to figure out what in the heck is going on. The number of questions they took and answered and did it in such a caring way. Why am I rambling on about this? I should probably maybe mention that. So Dad's had a tough time.
Yeah.
Last night was a tough night, and this morning when we got up, I was told that he wasn't doing well, that this time is really close. Now, a lot of families been here, and that's great. I look at the list of people on the program today, and I said, thank God Heather's going to be here today. She's my buddy. We talk that feeling that I have. We talk about
Yeah.
it. And if God's doing this for me, I'll get that call when you're on, not with somebody else. And just before you came on the air, my loving wife called. And Dad is not going to make it much longer, probably not past our bit here. She put the nurse on, and the nurse said, you should come right away.
Yeah.
That's not happening. I said, I've got 90 more minutes. I have something that I do. I love this job.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it matters enough to anybody else, but I don't think my dad would want me to run out anyway and not do my work. So that call came in. And the reason I'm talking about hospice is I love those people. They're crazy good at what they do. And I couldn't do that to save my soul. I think God didn't make me smarter, because I think I would have thought I'd been a cool doctor and been a doctor or a nurse or an RN. I couldn't handle what they do. I could be, if I was smart enough, even mentally, emotionally, I couldn't handle it. I just want to say thank you to them. Thank you for being here. It's been a tough week.
Huge thanks. That's I'm grateful that you made the choice to put your dad in a place like that to because it's a tough transition time. This whole period has been a tough transition time. But you know what, Al? I love how you have found ways to celebrate moments with him through this. Your cigars, those meals.
Well, see, and Heather knows this. We've talked about it a little bit on the air. My wife, when we woke up this morning, and what are you going to do? Are you going to go to work, put in a best of show, and then have to explain it all anyway? The next day I said, no. Dad's, we don't know what he hears or doesn't. He's not going to have a conversation with me anyway today. But I had the opportunity in the last year. Every day he felt good enough, he called, let's have a cigar. And probably the best year I could have hoped for with my dad. I mean, I don't think we were necessarily massively tight humans, but in the last year we got there. And to have that cigar time with him was absolutely some of my greatest moments. If you're a hospice person, God bless you. My hospice people, I love you to death. If you have the means, go support your hospice. I don't know how they make their money. They haven't asked us for a dime. I don't even know how that stuff works. I'll figure it out later. Help them out. I just want to say that. So that's where we're at today before we start talking.
Sure.
Sorry.
And I wish. No, I think it's so important. I think a lot of people have such a dim view of hospice because they feel like it is a mark in time, and instead it is a way to do time in a meaningful way.
So this is God. We're gonna have we will make this a hospice half hour. When my folks, and we knew that we was going to pass, when we don't know, God got the expiration date on that, but we knew it was coming sooner than later. We had the discussion of hospice, and my folks, my dad's 81. No way. Because he knew that if you went to hospice, you're dead in 3 days or something. That was the belief, right? That was what this whole thing was. So when he had a bad Saturday, and we're in there, and the doctor suggests possibly a hospice thing. My dad, I don't know, but he goes, just listen to the young lady. Just listen to her and what it's all about today. And maybe I can share what I know, and it won't be 100% when you talk hospice. But she walked in right away and said, what are your thoughts on hospice? He goes, I'll be dead in 3 days.
No.
She goes, no. The rule is evidently if the doctor believes you have less than 6 months, you can get this system.
Yeah.
And 6 months doesn't seem like a lot of time, but my dad is better than 3 days. And she said, some people get off. You get in here thinking so, some things turn. This isn't us thinking you're dead in 3 days. And again, with the pain and stuff, it turned my dad around. He goes, okay, I can do this. And it was more for Mom, that the help she received and the people there 24/7, the phone call to make Mom never knew when to call 911 or to call me. And what do I know about healthcare?
So much pressure. Right.
So it took so much off of her that he decided we'd do it. Now, long story short, he didn't get back home. He's deteriorated in 3-4 days. But hospice is not the hospice of old. It isn't your death sentence, but it made him pain-free for the most part. I mean, we did all we could there at times, but so.
Look at Jimmy Carter. You know, what I think it does is it allows you to let go of things that are not useful to you. And, you know, the patchwork that we get into at the end of life sometimes, just sticking Band-Aids here and there, trying to fix something that really can't be fixed anymore. And, you know, if life is about relationships, how are we best going to serve those relationships at the end of our life? And
Yeah.
I think, a lot of times patients are even afraid to choose hospice because they fear the message it sends to their loved ones. And they need to have the freedom to say, I value my relationship with you, my quality of life over, the conventions of healthcare. I want to do this my way, in a way that works well for me.
It was a heck of balancing. So the family gets notified that he is going into hospice, and everybody's eyes kind of perk up and said, I'm not dying tomorrow. But it does say, from here on out, it's just pain management. I am going to have more medicine to take more pain away. I will be less lucid. Most of the family got here in time to have good quality conversations with my son and daughter-in-law. It facilitates that. To put it out there, the news that I didn't know when we talked hospice, once you sign up, then you don't make the ER call anymore. You don't call, don't go to the ER. You don't call ambulances anymore. My mom goes, well, what happens if? No, we're here now. We understand what the end is. Yeah. So we'll do whatever. You call us and we'll come give him more medicine. We'll come in, they're the things that we'll do. But he's not going to take another ambulance ride. And it was weird to see my mother almost relieved at that. Because to calling the ambulance was scared her, like she wasn't doing enough or doing this. And the relief on my family, it was fantastic. So that's hospice, and I God love them.
Yeah. No, I remember panicked feelings trying to decide. My dad died in 2000, but I remember moments of trying to decide, do I call an ambulance or not?
Yeah.
And then, I think my parents dying early gave me the freedom then to kind of talk to my grandmas about what they wanted. And, one of my grandmas, she wanted me with her when she passed. And, it was on a Thanksgiving day. And I was so glad. I mean, at the end, we hear they can hear us. They can feel our touch. So, that's what you do. It's about giving to them. And then the hospice people, they're giving to people they haven't maybe met before this moment. And
I'm a talker. You should see my 6 brothers and sisters. It's a television show. It's just unbelievable. And they handle it so well. To all of them, I'm going to go to break. We'll talk the shooting here in a second. To all of them at the United Hospital District's hospice unit and all, if you're listening to this program, you're in hospice, God bless you. We'll be back after this.
All the special interests are represented in St. Paul. But who speaks for you? Center of the American Experiment does. Our policy fellows dig into the tough issues that matter to you and offer common sense solutions on education, taxes, crime, and energy. American Experiment is the trusted, nonpartisan voice of Minnesotans like you. We are working every day to make Minnesota a better, safer, more prosperous place. We are American Experiment. Go to americanexperiment.org to learn more.
You know that car sound that sounds like a cricket playing a banjo? Jay's can fix that. You know when you step on the brakes and your car sounds like a pair of tennis shoes in the dryer? Paul is the guy who specializes in that. And you know that sound that never happens when the mechanic's around? Paul took a whole course on that. If you own a car, you need to know Paul. Paul owns Jay's Auto Shop, 202 North Main Street, Blue Earth, 525-1052, 525-1052. We're still, of course, still taping, but thank you for being there. Thank you.
Oh, yes, of course, Al. I'm just really sorry that life is in such a difficult place.
Timing. It couldn't happen 90 minutes from now. I mean,
I know.
Anyway, but God put you here for me, so thank you. We'll be out in 30 seconds.
The Al Travis Show, the last place you can go and hear all sides. Respectful, thoughtful, and grateful.
Grateful to have Heather Dugan on with me today in this time. If that was too self-serving, I apologize. Not say didn't expect a phone call, but you don't expect in the news break that it's now or never, and I'm going to pray that God will let them hang on there for another 90 minutes and I can get there.
And you aren't the only one going through these things. That's the thing. People hear this. They need to hear it,
And I hope so. That's why we brought you on, but to talk about the shooting. Well, we love having you on all the time, but the topic today was the shooting that happened over the weekend.
Yes.
It's probably, it's bigger because they were political figures a lot of us knew. If it was, four shootings in Minneapolis area, maybe I don't know that we would have all felt the same. What do you think people will go through with this? I mean, I presume the 4 stages or 5 stages, there's a grief thing somewhere. What happens next?
There are so many pieces and parts to this. It can get very complicated in a situation that's such an out and out tragedy like this. That's unnecessary. That's shocking. The individuals that are personally attached, your friend, having a friend go through such a traumatic time. That adds another layer to it. And then there's the whole community thing. How can this happen here? I still remember to this day, my oldest son is in his early 30s, and I remember the day there was a murder in the UK and how my worldview changed in that moment as I held my own baby. This could be that moment for many, many new parents. So I think, the more we can share our feelings in a, hopefully
all
not
3 of them. All 3 of the feelings.
But this is brushing off the nuances, Al. I think there's more to it in this. It edges up against the deaths we've had before, the deaths we fear ahead of us. Life is complicated. Life is hard. And this calls on our very best to bring forward. And in order to support ourselves, oftentimes that comes in the form of helping support one another. Mm-hmm. And I think, there's a gift in that when we can share.
Am I hearing that you think we should just not talk about it amongst ourselves and just bury it deep down, maybe eat a little more, have a little extra beverage? Is that what I'm hearing you suggest?
For this thing, Al, I don't think you get that anywhere in there. I think the more you talk about this and help others to find access, that's how we begin to heal. Otherwise, we bury and it comes out in other places. It comes out in bad ways, right? It's important that we talk through it and discover. A lot of times we're afraid of the bad feeling, but it's a bad feeling, but it is just a feeling. How do we live that out? And how do we find meaning in the feeling? How do we find meaning in the life? And ultimately, that's what we leave behind, the lives we touch, the impact we can have.
It's the lives we touch. We have 1 minute, so I'll throw it quick. Mm-hmm. Remember those, like the shooting happens and a lot of folks don't know all these people, so they'll get over it quicker. These senators, these representatives were friends with these people, their spouses. This isn't going away in 10 days when the news switches the cycle. Remember to pick up the phone and call again or do whatever with your friends that are involved with that. I'm just listening to go, don't forget this. Make a note. Put it in your phone, whatever you got to do.
So important. And be specific. I had a friend lose a father this past week, and one memory I shared with her is how kind it was. She cooked food that he could host his friends with when he was unable to cook himself. And that was a special memory.
That's cool.
Remember the things that touched, because it adds another line to the chapter. Give them more to remember, because those are gifts. Every memory is a gift.
Well, I presume, always remember this half hour of radio, and it was a gift that you were my guest at the time. Thank you, Heather. I appreciate you a ton.
Oh, thank you. And I'm thinking of your family today.
Appreciate it. More after this.
There are many